you. And the blackened eyes make my way into your mind. Just to know what you knew. Restless every time we start locking eyes. Lost control. Oh, it's paradise with honesty, but I'm in the dead of the night. Let the darkness take control. Let the darkness take control. Darkness take control. May the darkness take control. Take me in the smoke, breathe me in and let me go. Sink to your heart to find you. Open up your eyes till you're blinded by the lies, so you can see what you do. Restless every time we start locking eyes. Lost control. Oh, it's paradise with honesty, but I'm in the dead of the night. Teardrops on the floor. The pain is over. Feel the darkness take control.
Welcome to AfterTalk, where wrestling goes beyond the mat. Here's your host, the Glamazon, Delisha.
Hello, guys. First off, I want to say thank you guys for your patience while we were trying to get some technical difficulties out of the way. But we're here. We're here on this Christmas Eve for you Friends fans out there. I think it was Friends. I don't know. But welcome to our fourth episode of After Talk, our sister show to AfterMat, to where we get more in depth to our wrestling fandom, where we can talk about a more long form discussion rather than just recapping what we just saw on pay per view last night. But without further ado, I want to introduce my co-host, Nikki. How have you been, girl? I know we were going through all the tech issues, but besides that, how's it going? How's it been?
Life's been good. It'd be great if all of my tech would work, but instead you guys get awesome glowy headphones, because this is the best I could come up with, so sorry.
I like it. I told you, they're
Yes.
the Mustafa Ali headphones.
Listen, I'm really extra, but this might be going a little too far.
See, you should have had your blue hair back. That would have been great.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, guys. So I just want to say, probably mostly since we started, but definitely this year, there's always at least one comment of, "What about AEW? When are you guys talking about AEW? What about New Japan? Have you guys been watching inter wrestling promotion here?" And usually the answer is no, because we are mainly a WWE recap show. For at the time, it was the most accessible wrestling program out there, but that's no longer the case. We now have a direct competition to WWE and AEW on TNT. Not a plug. If they want to sponsor us, we will become the AEW recap show. But no, just Cal says no, so I guess we cannot even with sponsorship.
I wouldn't mind. I don't care.
And then with streaming and other outlets, there's a lot more wrestling to go around. So like some of the ones I've named was, of course, the biggest being AEW, Impact Wrestling or TNA for you old school folks that as they used to go by. There's Ring of Honor, New Japan, Lucha Underground. I think it's one called Triple A, I believe, or yeah. So there's so much wrestling to go around.
Wow.
So
Don't forget wow.
I'm sorry. Wow, 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 wow. Um, there's so much wrestling to go around that we figure to cap off end of the year, let's just talk about what we've been able to, I guess, watch, because some of us don't even watch WWE anymore. There's maybe some of you guys in the comments who don't watch WWE anymore. And so we want to give you guys an outlet and us an outlet to state some positives, what we liked about. Usually we might go back with just this year, but we'll talk about the wrestling fandom in general, maybe of the last 5, 10 years, how it's changed, and just talk about where we're at in our state of our wrestling fandom, because that's why we wanted to start this podcast, whether it be AfterMat or AfterTalk, was because we just love talking wrestling. So let's start getting into it. Um, first off, we wanted to talk about the state of the wrestling fandom itself and wrestling as a whole. Um, I'll talk about me for a little bit. I'm still a mainstay for WWE. Well, again, it is the most accessible to me and my various subscription services. I only have two. That wasn't even various. But I still enjoy the product a lot. I'm grateful for AEW to now have a TV deal, so now I can watch some. I don't know if you want to call it counter programming, but something a little different, a little bit more spice to this wrestling casserole that we have going on. And there's usually the two mainstays that I can watch on a consistent basis. Um, Otherwise, I'll check out some matches that people send to me uh, through YouTube. Um, I not much into TNA, although I hear it's been getting a lot better since they've gotten new TV deals and new management over there. So maybe coming this new year, I'll probably check out some more of that in depth. But Nikki, what have you been checking out this year, or is
So
the list long?
the list is longer. Over the last year, I've really found myself to be watching less and less WWE to the point where I actually canceled my subscription back in August. Now, a big part of that does have to do with the fact that my wife and I just bought a house and we were cutting back. And I realized, to be honest, I just wasn't watching WWE the way I used to. And I started seeking out alternatives. We actually have Sling TV, again, not a plug, but there's so much on Sling. I mean, I got to watch new Japanese wrestling. I got to watch AEW. I got to watch WoW, which is Women of Wrestling. There's a whole bunch of wrestling on Sling that just pops up every now and then. And I don't know if it learns my habits or what, but lately it's been like, hey, we see that you like wrestling. You might also like these 14 other wrestling shows. And I don't know, I guess for me, the WWE really hasn't been delivering. And that's saying a lot because I've been watching the WWE since I was like 8. I mean, I'm a long-time fan. And usually when I get sick of whatever's going on in the WWE, I find myself stopping stopping watching wrestling altogether. Like I don't seek out alternatives. I'm just like I'm not into what the WWE is doing, so I'm just not into it and I just move on. And then like 6 months will pass and maybe I'll tune in and I'll be like, oh, this is kind of interesting. Or maybe a year will pass. Or one time I took like 3 years off because I was like, I'm just really not feeling it. And I just find other things to fill my time. But it seems like this past year in particular, I've been watching a lot of different wrestling shows. I've been watching AEW. I've been watching new Japanese pro wrestling. I've been watching WoW. Anything that I can catch that's wrestling, I'm like really interested in turning it on. And I have faves in all of those different things now. Like I will turn on AEW and I'm like, oh man, does Darby Allin have a match? And of course, we all know I'm a Dean Ambrose fan, which means I naturally watch John Moxley on literally anything that he's on, which is more than just AEW. He shows up on New Japanese Pro Wrestling too. And I'm like, I mean, it's great. And there's just, I don't know. I like a lot. I have faves in all of these new shows that I'm watching, and I kind of feel like it's just gotten to the point for me where I'm coming for the wrestling and less for the storylines, like the athleticism that's behind wrestling itself. You know. my wife got home. My dog's gonna start barking. I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought your dogs were agreeing with you or
Oh,
disagreeing.
she probably is. So I don't know. I mean, that might appeal to some of our fans that are always asking about, well, what about these other shows? Don't get me wrong, the WWE has a special place in my heart, and I will talk about that when we move on to, what we feel is working and what we feel isn't working for the WWE, because I got lots and lots of feels about that. I was telling Cal and Delisha earlier that, like, I went from, I should put a few bullet points down, to literally I have like 42-page thesis over what's not working in the WWE for me. And I was like, okay, I've lost control. So yeah, I mean, it's, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not satisfied. I'm finding I'm less and less satisfied with WWE.
Okay, so Cal, how are you standing in your wrestling fandom as of today?
So like I feel like I was like how Nicole said she started like when she was like 8, right? Like so I've been watching since I was a kid as well, and like I was a hardcore fan. Like I always watched everything like Saturday Night Main Events, like the Saturday morning shows, like all that kind of stuff. And like when WWE and WCW were competing and all that, I'd watch that. Like both, I'd try to way to watch both by recording one on a VHS. If you guys remember what that is, and then watching it back and all that kind of stuff. So it was like I was really like a huge fan. Like I couldn't really afford getting the pay per views every month, but I'd find out how it worked. Or my friends and I would go together and buy a pay per view like together and watch it and stuff like that. But yeah, it was. I went from a hardcore fan, and now you guys know I just watch mostly fast forward, and then I watch the pay per views, right? So that's about like all I do now. So it's more about like also growing up as well because you have more responsibilities, so you can't just watch wrestling and like so I'm doing other stuff as well. So that can attribute to why I don't watch it as much hardcore because of just time passing through. But I still enjoy the product, no matter how like things that are happening. I still enjoy it, like having discussions on AfterMat and all that. And now I've been branching out because like AEW, like all the talk about AEW. I've been watching that. Other stuff too. If whatever I could watch, I try to do, but unfortunately, like I can't get to it all. Like New Japan and Ring of Honor. I don't know when all that stuff is on. I actually also have Sling TV, but I didn't know all that stuff was actually on it. But mostly probably because my parents use it for international TV, so I don't think we even have the regular TV package on it. So I guess that's probably why. But I don't know. It's pretty fun. Like I still enjoy the WWE product, and I do enjoy all the pay per views that come out. Like even as much as some are really bad, like the one we just talked about, I still enjoy watching it because it's like nostalgia, right? Because it's like reminds me of my childhood when I used to watch pay per views on Sunday nights and stuff like that with friends and stuff. So there's that. I think just time has changed things, kind of thing.
Yeah, and it kind of feels like we're all on like the various spectrums where Nicole is like, I'm kind of done, but I'll come back every once in a while. And Kyle's like, oh, I'm kind of middle of the road. I watch all the pay-per-views and fast forward through all the shows. And then there's still me who still watches almost everything. um, Usually, sometimes it is in the background. There's only a few people or shows in general that like actively get my attention nowadays when it comes to WWE. But again, like you guys, I did start out at a young age. I don't quite yeah, I guess about 8 or 9 because as people who've been watching for a while know, my favorite tag team is the Hardy Boys. So I started watching when they were in their matches with Edge and Christian and the Dudley Boys. So it was that type of like high flying athleticism that really caught this young 8 year old's eye because I can't do any of that. So they were kind of like superheroes to me. And at the time, like as a kid, I didn't actually know a lot of the adult content storyline that they were like going through until I get older and you realize, some of that was kind of suspect. And I do realize now, as we've gotten to what people are calling Doman the PG era, and I don't know what we're calling this new era now. I guess what started with the women's revolution. I guess I don't know. Is that I guess they are trying to. They've gone to a more family friendly product, which I guess alienated a lot of people as well. So nowadays it seems like they're trying to course correct that to try to bring back the Nickies out there who used to watch very heavily back in the day, trying to bring them back into the full rotation. And it seems to be hit or miss. um Cal, I think, and I don't know if you can put that poll up, the one about the storylines. That wrestling in general, while it's very athletic, I think a lot of times what keeps us entertained throughout the whole uh, program is kind of the storyline. So I wanted to put a poll out there for this year in particular, because there was just so much going on. I had asked like what was uh your favorite storyline. I was going with the more prevalent, the ones that were being talked about on a more consistent basis, not more like they happened in the beginning of the year and then we never addressed it back. And so the choices were the Fiend or Undisputed Era versus everybody, because they consistently seem to be having multiple feuds that people kept talking about. And then Jericho versus Cody, even predating their TV listings or release dates, they had feuds going on with the Elite and I forget the other side.
The Inner Circle.
The Inner Circle. Thanks, Joe. Our fact checker is in the background lurking, so uh, we might get some actual facts and recall coming quicker. And then I also threw another addition for other storylines that were more prevalent in the wrestling space. Not surprising to me, 40, I think 9% of you went with the Fiend, which I kind of agree with. Well, especially out of the mainstays that we've seen throughout the year. His has been the most uh, interesting, the most complex, the most speculated about from the his first kind of like wacky Mr. Rogers Playhouse sets to the more demonic I won't go, it's not quite like his cult like persona, but it kind of feels like it's towing that line as well. So I can understand why people are saying that's the more interesting one. It's of course with it coming from a more prevalent product with WWE, it's probably might be more known. Um but what do you guys think? Is this a storyline that have captured you guys' attention more rapidly, or maybe something with some of the NXT storylines with Undisputed Era, or are you more interested in Jericho and Cody these past couple of months and how they're fledging out their feud not only with them two but within like their quote unquote inner circles and spreading that out with the AEW product?
Sorry, Nicole,
Can you
can I
guys hear
actually?
me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
All right. Can I interrupt for a second? I just want to finish this poll out for you because we actually got
Oh, thank you.
117 votes, which is kind of ridiculous. I didn't think we'd get that much. So, because the other one didn't get as much, but I guess people more interested in storylines because that's what you were mentioning. Maybe is it the storylines or the action? Because Nicole's saying she's been following the action a lot more and the high fly, all that kind of wrestling technical stuff. But this question for the storyline, it's got 117 votes, which I thought was interesting. And you did ask other, and we asked them to comment below. So I actually have some of those comments I want to read out for you. So we're gonna
Yeah,
read
go
those
ahead.
out. Sky Inc. says The Fiend, obviously, and that's what won, like you said, unanimously. Well, I guess it's not unanimous. Is it unanimous? It's not over 51%. It's 49.6, close enough. Entertained, who's in the chat, said the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers, which spans like Nicole said not just through AEW because they fight in other promotions as well, just like she's saying about Dean Ambrose as well. 4-Inch Fox says Kofi Kingston's reign as champion as it all started by accident. Undisputed Era draped in gold is a close second, while we follow up with an Orange Cassidy being so over in AEW and he's barely had to lift a finger for third. And finally, James J. Artell says everything is gold when they are in the ring together. It took 10 plus years to get this kind of women's wrestling in WWE, which she's referring to Sasha Banks, Bayley, Miss Charlotte Flair, as well as Becky Lynch.
Okay.
So those
We're actually going to put a pin in that one because I feel like that's going to be a topic of discussion with our next bullet point.
What?
Yeah.
You don't say.
So that's what we have for the poll. Sorry to interrupt, but that's what I want to make
Oh
sure.
yeah, no worries. But yeah, going back to storylines, is that what have kept you guys on the WWE train? Have you been enjoying those storylines throughout the promotions that you've been watching throughout the year or last year or two?
Sorry. Technology's killing me today.
No
Okay.
worries.
All right. What was the question? Where are we at? Did I skip what's working?
No,
Are
we're
we
not to
going
that
No,
yet.
no, we're still.
What are
I was
we-
talking about that I was going back to the Fiend poll. How that was.
Oh,
So I was wondering, how have you been feeling about the storylines we've been getting from the various promotions that you've been watching or that have been the main front for the different promotions out there?
You know what? Actually, the Fiend storyline is the only thing that's kept me interested in WWE in the last several months. I have friends who watch WWE religiously, and it seems like they're always sending me clips of the Fiend. And then, like, I find myself getting onto YouTube because, again, I don't have my WWE subscription anymore. And I'm going into YouTube and I'm like, I want to see, these promos and stuff like that. And it seems to be really interesting, but like all things in WWE, it's only a matter of time before they shit all over that storyline too.
I kind of want to build on that from what you said because we keep saying the Fiend, the Fiend, the Fiend, but it's not just the Fiend. It is Bray Wyatt as well. So we have to give him credit because the whole Firefly Funhouse is mostly him and his persona as Bray Wyatt. And let's not forget the last pay-per-view TLC, he came out as Bray Wyatt, much to my chagrin. But the fans ate it up and they loved it. How funny he was when he kept pandering to the fans with the belt and all that. So it is not just the Fiend. Granted, that's probably the most interesting because it's supernatural kind of aspect of it, and there's almost ruined right from the beginning, like Nicole was saying. Like down the line, it's probably gonna get ruined, but right in the beginning, it was ruined by the referee stoppage at a Hell in the Cell, I think it was, whatever that pay per view was that happened. So the Fiend is probably the more interesting aspect of the Bray Wyatt dynamic, but I've always enjoyed Bray Wyatt. Being the eater of the worlds or the leader of the Wyatt family, whatever he was, I've always been enthralled by him. He's just like.
He's a great wrestler.
Yeah, great wrestler, and as well as a persona. Great, there's a lot of
That's
people
what
like
makes a great wrestler when you have both.
yes,
Sorry.
but there's some people that lose it after a while. That the fans turn on them, and stuff like that. Like right now, kind of like Seth Rollins is losing that, with that whole thing. You guys, I'm sure you guys will talk about that in a while. But like some people, no matter if they're a heel or a face, the fans still love it. Like people like when CM Punk. Jericho, even the Miz now. Miz is still fantastic now, and when he's a face heel, whatever he is, people eat that up, and those are those people that you love, and that's kind of the thing that you need about those people that can carry a storyline no matter who they're with. They kind of take it all on their back and carry the line.
Right. It doesn't matter
Okay.
who they step into the ring with; they make them better.
Yeah, so that kind of helps transition to what I want to talk about next is what has been working for you for whether it is WWE, AEW, Ring of Honor, New Japan. Like, what is it that keeps you enthralled, and what is it, I guess, on the other side that is like pushing you away from certain storylines and content and things like that?
For me, I would say the one thing that keeps me coming back to WWE is bar none their women's division. They have the best women's division out of any wrestling anything. And I can say that now because I watch other wrestling shows. It's so like one of the many things that the WWE is doing right is the women's wrestling division. I mean, it simply just is. Like they're not only leading the way, but they're opening up new opportunities for women in wrestling all across the board. And there's some credit to be given there. And you guys will hear me probably for the rest of this show tear WWE a new one just because I realize that there's other stuff out there now. And I'm not trying to be like, oh, down with the WWE. I mean, WWE has the convenience that everybody's looking for. You don't have to know when or where the WWE is going on because it's everywhere. Like when people ask about wrestling, they know WWE. So I get that there's 15 YouTube channels devoted to it. We have shows devoted to it right here. Obviously, that's what we're talking about. But like for me, I mean, and I'll get into the statistics later because I actually looked it up because I was thinking like when I watch AEW, it is typically a shorter show than a lot of the WWE pay per views. It's like an hour to an hour and a half, depending on what we're watching. But there are 14 women on Raw alone. That doesn't include SmackDown. That doesn't include NXT. It doesn't include any of their other shows. And you're talking, I think it's like AEW. Pause for tech because I have it down here. AEW has 16 women on their roster in comparison to 43 men. 16 women. There's almost more women on Raw alone, and I get that it's WWE and AEW is just starting up and all of those things, but there's one women's match in every AEW thing, and sometimes there's not even one. And it's like, I don't know. I'm a woman. I want to see myself up there every now and then.
I agree. Cal, like, what's been working for you so far?
Yeah, so of course the Fiend. I love that Bray Wyatt and stuff like that. as you know, when we do AfterMats, I really don't know the backstories. I don't really know the storylines. You usually have to tell me the storylines. But I know one thing that has. Well, let's talk about what's working, right? So the Fiend is great. Okay, I think that's it. I think that's about it. I'm trying to think of like anything else I really enjoy.
Kofi Mania.
Yeah, but then I got tired of that fast. Like, I'm a huge Kofi fan, but then I got tired of it fast. So like I've been saying this forever, and then CM Punk reiterated what I said about, like, when they keep shoving it down your throat about, like, what it is, like, oh, he's the first ever, like, African-American or whatever to win at WrestleMania, like, a championship at WrestleMania, whatever it was, the exact stat they said, right? Or first African, like, born, like, I hate when they do that. Just let them have it. Like, it's like, they're trying to take credit, like, oh, we actually just said, look, we made him the first African, and then, like, oh, there's the first ever women's main event WrestleMania. Like, no, let them have it. You don't have to make what they earned.
Stop making it about you.
Yeah, exactly. And then like I said, CM Punk heard what I said every week, every AfterMat episode, and he said it himself on backstage. So then it went worldwide. But still, I said it first. Titus worldwide. But yeah. Besides that, though, like when you talk about AEW, I don't know that like I'd actually kind of really watch the shows, and I tried like. Because they do a really good job on the promos at pay-per-views to build up the match. Like, I feel like they do a better job of the promos in most cases. Like, you'd have one really good promo for WWE, but, like, I feel like all the promos are really good for AEW, for the pay-per-views leading up to the match. So I can actually get what the storyline's about. But I don't see storylines in AEW. Like, I don't see it. Like Nicole was saying earlier, is like the action is fantastic. The action is great. I just don't know storylines. The only story I've been watching since the first pay-per-view they had for AEW, the only person who I've seen had a storyline is always Cody. Whether it be against Dustin, against the Young Bucks, or against Jericho. I don't know anybody else who has a storyline. I can't tell you any storyline that's happened from then until now, honestly. But the action's been great.
Maybe that's why I started making the switch, because I'm just caring less and less about storylines, because WWE always just depresses me. They're always like, oh, look at this cool thing, and then they're like, they shit all over it. And I'm just tired of it, I mean, I can only take so much in 20 years.
Yeah, I will say, within this past year, I guess even going back towards last year, I mean, the reason why we even started this, well, not the reason why we started the secondary podcast, but our first ever one was talking about the women's division, and they've been kicking ass all over the place, literally, in all the aspects of the WWE promotions, whether it be Raw, SmackDown, or NXT, and then NXT UK on top of that. So I really do, I will applaud them for listening to their fan base and that aspect, and listening to their women in the locker room saying, hey, we train just as hard, if not twice as hard as the guys. Let us go out there and show you that this is what the fans have been wanting for a long time. And without it being just like the same two girls, I mean, we still get a lot of that in storyline wise, which I'll talk about in a second. But we've seen a lot of women be able to shine in the long form matches where you couldn't really see that in a 30-second, 1 minute, 2 minute match. But now I get to talk about my favorite thing in wrestling.
Oh wait, can I finish up on what I was?
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
For what I do feel that worked also on a consistent basis, both wrestling and action wise, as well as storyline wise, is NXT. I don't really, like I said, I do watch NXT like without fast forward. I pretty much watch it, and I know the storylines. Like I know because I love Undisputed Era. I fell in love with Keith Lee and him. And and a lot of the stuff, like the Rhea Ripley storyline, like all this kind of stuff, like I know what's going on in NXT, and the action backs it up. The Finn Balor thing as well now, like it's great. Like it hits on both ends, not only the wrestling but the storylines as well. So I think that's been great. As for what's bad, like I love how I made it work or botch. If you look at the image on the stream, it being the Goldberg and Undertaker match from whatever it was. Bad, I have to say one of the worst storylines ever. I had no interest in. Nor the match that followed out of it was the Lana Rusev thing, and Lashley love triangle. That has been so stupid. A lot of these other things, like I don't even feel like a lot of these storylines are worth mentioning. Even like the whole Seth Rollins thing is kind of boring now too. But the one thing I did enjoy is the Brock Lesnar Rey Mysterio. I thought that was gonna be a stupid thing, but when he got crushed by Brock Lesnar, that was great. The whole payoff was great. But the one thing I want to mention that was a terrible storyline was the Lana Rusev Lashley. charm.
Oh my god, it was so bad. I'm so glad I'm not really like watching.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not watching that much because like just seeing the tweets and the secondhand stuff from all my other friends, I'm just like I can't even right now. Get away from me.
Yeah, it's like that. I feel you because I feel like on the one hand I understand. Well, I really can't get a put it on like this is what it is, but I do understand like in well for Raw in particular when they're trying to put on a 3 hour long production, you kind of have to put different segments in there for everybody. There are people who actually do like the more soap opery storylines. They're not my friends, but I do see it out there. So there's like I said, when they're a big conglomerate like to be there, I guess there has to be something for everybody. It's like kind of like I I don't know, maybe in a way kind of like Disney where there's gonna be some stuff that you don't like.
Kind of
I
like
know now all the I'm probably gonna now I
Star
just got
Wars,
I know
Rise of
I wasn't
Skywalker.
I
We're
wasn't
freaking
even
looking
going
at
to
you.
mention it. I wasn't even going to mention it. I'm just going to say that there's going to be some movies and stuff that you don't like, but there's going to be always going to be someone on the opposite side. But like, hey, I love that.
That is
So
so true.
it's kind of like you damned if you do, damned if you do. You're never going to satisfy everybody, and so that's what I have to kind of like come to terms with is that with some of the flag still Raw and SmackDown are still the flagship shows. There are going to be some stuff that is not going to appeal to me or my personal taste. So I just have to take the good with the bad. And there's been, quite frankly, a good amount of good, mainly from the two shows that I watch that actually keep me attentive, which is Friday night. Well, now Friday Night SmackDown and NXT. NXT more overall than most because, as Kyle was saying, there are actually storylines that I love in there. They're actually, I feel like what NXT to me gets right a lot of times is that they give us time for the most part to get to know the characters. I know it wasn't always like that in the beginning, but of course they were still they're still a developmental show, even though now that they are live and on television. We can't forget that they still are a developmental program for these wrestlers transitioning in to the mainstream wrestling, so to speak. But I feel like when NXT gets a lot right, and I feel like a lot of people here would agree in the chat is that those storylines they kind of have a beginning, middle, end, and they seem to be more contrite or concise. They I guess Triple H and his writers are kind of like Kevin Feige in them over at Marvel, to where they seem to have like a mapped out storyboard of what they want to portray to the audience, and then try to execute that on the screen. Where I feel like sometimes on Raw, you get lost in the shuffle. There's so many writers every different week. Well, not every week, but there's so many different writers, so many cooks in the kitchen, and that a concise story doesn't always get told. And sometimes we'll just drop a storyline in the middle of the storyline, and you're like, well, what happened to X, Y, and Z and stuff like that. So, what's given me more intrigue with that and why I can sit down, put down my phone, and watch NXT is that I actually am involved with the storylines and seeing these characters play out on TV. And I'm still getting to know my AEW people. That's the one thing I think that is keeping me from being, I almost said all in, what's keeping me from fully putting my best interest that I did not watch the YouTube shows or the paid pay-per-view that they would put on because I just couldn't afford it and just did not have access to it at the time. So I did not get to know a lot of these characters before they became on television. So, and I feel like sometimes they do treat their audience like they're smart, but I think they also need to realize, which okay, as good business into they probably do, but I think they also realize that a good majority of your audience are probably seeing people for the very first time, and you do need to tell a story. Whether it doesn't have to be an elaborate story, but I need to know why I need to root for this person or why I should not root for this person. You need to give me something, and rather their matches have been great, but I'm like I need a little bit more substance, but that's just my personal taste. So I'm still
I just pick favorites based off intro music.
that's true. And so that they're still trying to win me over, so to speak. And I would really love to see more of their women's division get more fleshed out a little bit. The only thing I could really go for that's really has my attention is Brandy and Awesome Kong. That's because I just really love Awesome Kong. But I really want to know what's going on with that relationship. So I don't know. We should see. They're still a baby, so to speak, in the TV game. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how it goes up into 2020 to see if they can capture my attention. But speaking of AEW, because I know people probably really want to talk about that. Do you think that um they can be a legit contender, like legit toe to toe at some point with WWE? Because right now, not just literally going toe to toe, I think that they're more on par with NXT to where there's still like a lot of people you do or do not know. You're still getting to learn these people, and just the overall aesthetic. It's a little bit more grimy. It's a little bit more gritty. We can get a little bit more down and dirty, so to speak, with the AEW, as we kind of see with NXT. There's not a lot of fluff, so to speak. So do you guys think that in the legit coming in the upcoming year, 3 years, 5 years down the road, they will be a mainstay on the network television and not just having to revert back to the only pay per view.
Well, as the people's champ, I just want to chime in and say that people are talking in the chat, and Willow Firefox says he thinks that NXT is going to surpass Raw and SmackDown as the top show by the end of 2020. And as for AEW, he thinks AEW will get better as they get more planted. So I guess they get more base.
I mean, this is a hard question because WWE is such a massive brand, and we've seen people try and come up and compete, toe to toe with them in the past, and it just doesn't seem to work out for them. But I also think that there's a lot of people like me who are longtime fans, and we're just tired of seeing the same shit done over and over again, or at least I am. There is not a single storyline in the last like year and a half that hasn't already been done. And when you've been watching as long as I have, there's just no surprises. Like, oh look, it's another best friend crew. How long is it going to be before they turn on each other? Or oh look, it's a masked character. I wonder who it's going to be. Oh, it's big and scary. And then they just get rid of them because they'll have them lose. And it's just pointless. And I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of people like me who have finally reached the point where they're like, why am I still here? And I'm not saying I won't always have a special place in my heart for WWE because I certainly will. And like I said, they have a superior women's division to everyone. But I really think that AEW has a fighting chance because there's a lot of people that are done with WWE's shit. Not just the way they treat their wrestlers, but the way they treat their fans and the way they treat their storylines. Like, dude, can you please hire just like one person who's not a white guy on your fucking writing staff? Just once. It shows. That's all I have to say. I apologize.
Yeah, to piggyback off that, like Nicole was saying, like that TNA tried, or other companies have tried as well. Even WCW, which has had like a glorious and prestigious history, which is NWA and all that back. It was bought out by WWE ultimately, right? So ECW as well too. It's like a work. It's like a big churning machine that keeps turning and turning, and if you get in its way, it's probably gonna run you over. You kind of have to like run alongside of it and see, kind of feed off its energy and see what's going on to build up yourself. Kind of like how cards, like I think that was actually that movie recently, Ford versus Ferrari, which I haven't seen, which I heard was fantastic, but it's like the same thing. Like Ferrari's been dominating for so long, and they made fun of Ford, and then Ford finally found a way to make it somewhat equivalent. I don't know what happens in the movie or not. It is a historical thing, so I should probably know. But it's like that. You have to work alongside of it and kind of like feed off of it, as opposed to trying to go direct head-on competition. Because when you're going to do that, and you have so much years of history and all huge, like I said, like a huge giant machine, you're going to get destroyed. So that's why AEW pokes fun at the bear, but they're not really getting into the same den, right? You know what I mean? Right now they're kind of seeing like you said, NXT as their main competition. And it's kind of like they're feeding off each other with the network's ratings. It's like, hey, sometimes we win, sometimes you win, but it's been a great Wednesday night war in this case, right? But I'm referring back to the Monday Night War in that sense for the old school wrestling fans. So once they could supplant themselves, like Will was saying in the chat, as a good strong wrestling foundation, like base, like with stories and all that, then they could start building up and adding production value, because they, like I said, they have the great promos, but their stage work and stuff needs help. The cameramen are always not as good as the WWE cameramen. There's a lot of I think this whole week there's a whole thing about the tweet I forgot the name of the order. It's called, I think it's called like the Dark Order. Joe might know better. Dark Order, Dark Circle. There's these two guys who's like, one is like a masked larger guy, and the other one's like a skinny bald guy with a beard. And they have these minions, and the minions were beating up somebody. And like, here's the guy's head, and here's the guy punching him like this. And it was like clearly shown that he wasn't hitting him, and it was on the AEW camera for like a good 4 seconds, which is a long time camera wise. And it just showed the botch. Like, it was really bad. And it was like all over Twitter and all that. So the AEW cameraman, the Dark Order, thank you, Will. I think I might have said Dark Order. It's like that kind of stuff. The production value has to improve, but it's gonna happen over time. So like I said, they gotta learn and feed off that energy, not try to go into head to head. And going against NXT for right now is a smart decision, because NXT doesn't get as much exposure as Raw and SmackDown does. So that's why it should work as well.
Yeah, it actually, Cal, if you're able to, can you bring up that poll for the people to see that we put out on what was their favorite promotion going in? And actually, it was AEW that won the poll, I believe, right? Sorry, I have to go back to the other one at 38%. And actually, with NXT, not that far behind it at 33%. So, like, as you were saying before, those two seem to be the one that's in sort of direct competition, whether literally because they're on at the same time, and in the grand scheme of things. And you guys actually kind of answered the question I was going to ask next: is how do you think AEW can sustain itself? And I think we've all under the same scene, is that they just got to keep doing their own thing. They can't worry about NXT. They can't worry about what WWE is doing. I think if they focus on their talent, what they have, because they have really great talents,
They really,
on
really
screen
do.
and off behind the scenes, to help cultivate the culture there. So I feel like if they just keep doing their thing, they're going to continue to roll, get that following, and I think that I do think if the fans keep watching the product and supporting them in the arenas, I really do think they could be a legit contender. Because even though like we said, all the companies have come and gone in the past, but I think actually what's going for them in the most run is the support that they have backstage. They do have I forget the guy's name, the owner of the Jaguars, the who's the billionaire behind, who's like their investor.
Tony Khan,
Yeah,
yeah.
thank
That's
you.
his name, yeah.
Yeah, and then I don't know all the names in the back who are kind of like advising and writing and producing in the background, but they do seem to have a good grasp on that. But I feel like, just for me personally, to keep me invested, I would love to see some more like fleshed out characters. So I do know who am I supposed to tune in to see, because it can't always be Cody and Jericho. They are getting older, especially Jericho, and I know that they would love to put over the younger talent as well. And it would really be pretty interesting to see what they can do. And I think also, I think it might have been Willow as well, who said that, yeah, well, who said NXT is probably going to surpass the the Raw and SmackDown, because it just has that, they I know we say a lot, but they do have that old school wrestling feel going for it, to where the fans feel involved. They're chanting with all the chants. They're really engaged with the wrestling that's going on in the ring. They're engaged with the storylines that are being portrayed to them in the ring and on the screens. And I just feel like a lot of times when you do start to like mass market at a greater quantity as Raw and SmackDown do, the quality gets kind of low. It's kind of like your mom and pop shop who now is a chain restaurant and who's now gone national, where the food quality kind of goes down as they do more and more. Um, so I'm again, it just goes back to that. While there's still a whole lot of stuff that we don't like, especially when we start getting more into kind of like the political like backstage sphere, as we always have, the show we do not name on that when they've gone to overseas to Saudi Arabia due to the political situation over there, like a lot of people were turned off with that, me and Nikki included, to where it was like we can't support that. We was like, we're not gonna put our eyes on it. Although Kyle does take one for the team or two for the team, because they do it twice now. Two for the team to like watch it for us, to let us know what's going on.
And I had to watch that Goldberg Taker match, so you guys owe me one.
We
Yeah,
thank you so much for being here and doing it for us.
Actually, I have 2 points to bring up before you, as quickly. For what Will was saying, that the guy was intentionally missing because of Cody already being hurt or busted open. Yeah, I do acknowledge that, but I'm saying it's the productions team. I'm not putting any blame on the wrestler. I'm putting blame on the production crew that should have a different camera angle showing. There's ways to show camera angles all the time. Like they know if they're professional enough, or experienced enough that like if you go like this from a certain angle, it looks like you're hitting them, but you're not really, kind of thing. That's one thing. And then the other thing that you talk about NXT, how they have their chance and stuff, which is very true. Right now, NXT feels like the NXT fans have their own product to themselves, kind of thing, right? Where like you have their chance that they have to make up for themselves for each wrestler, like when Bailey and all them are out there, and they had the Bailey song and all that kind of stuff, and it doesn't translate to when it goes to Raw. There's some the only time you really see that is when it's after WrestleMania and all the international fans are there, because they're the real hardcore fans. They continue the chants and stuff, or when it goes overseas. But if you notice this, when the Undisputed Era and all those people and NXT were invading Raw and SmackDown, when Adam Cole, if you know he does the boom thing, no one did it in the audience on Raw because they didn't know, kind of thing. Maybe a few people did it, but if you hear it on NXT, it's like deafening, the boom, because they those are the fans. They know their product, and it's like I said, it's like their own product. So that's all a point to what you were saying about how they have their own chants and stuff, and that's why it's so popular, because I feel like it's kind of like an exclusive club that like doesn't translate to other things.
like the only club that only met. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah,
I love NXT.
yeah, they are the exciting brand, the black and gold brand,
Well,
as
and
Arnold
I
said.
didn't watch NXT until I went to the Royal Rumble in San Antonio, because I'm in Texas somewhere. I won't triangulate my position, but I'm in Texas, and so when things come here, I get really excited. And that's the first time that I went to NXT live, like right takeover, right before the Royal Rumble, and that was the first time I had ever watched NXT, because I just didn't. And so I was like, watching NXT live, and I was so confused. I was like, who are these people, and why is everyone chanting? Why don't I know these things? So yeah, totally. I love it now. I'm glad that I went.
We have a very similar experience. At least for me, the first time I went was with Delisha. We went to the SummerSlam, the one before SummerSlam, right, Delisha? And like I didn't know how any of these people are, but we had that inception moment, because like Delisha like knows more about NXT than me. When I was my first time ever experienced NXT, like you, Nicole, when you first went to that thing. But Delisha knew about NXT, but she had that moment there because people came from the indies, like Adam Cole and the other Undisputed Era members. They weren't Undisputed Era there. They're like Red Dragon or something that Joe knew, but Delisha and I didn't know, right? Like,
Right.
and so we had that inception moment inside of a thing where it was like already exclusive, but more exclusive because then everyone did the Adam Cole baby thing, and we had no idea what was going on. So it was like an inception.
That's always fun. I mean, it is. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was our Thanos moment. We're like, who's this guy? Who's on the Twitter searches? It actually, I'm pretty sure that Twitter search for Adam Cole or Bobby Fish, and you would think that I would really know the name, but I just always call them Undisputed Era, so it's like I forget the names though. But yeah, it's
Isn't
so,
it Kyle O'Reilly?
yeah, that's who it
And
is.
now
Thank
Roderick
you.
Strong as well.
Yeah. Like what they've been able to do is take the obscure for the mainstream now coming over to uh a more elevated show and just making you love them. Because it was the same with Matt Riddle. Like I didn't know who he was because I don't watch anything MMA related. But now I wouldn't say I love him, but I have now that you've given me more exposure, you've given him a character, you've given him like some well, I guess moderate storylines compared to others that I've like, oh yeah, I rock with this dude. And it's the same with AEW with is it I don't know if his name's Hernandez, but the young guy with who's running with Jericho. Like I don't
Sammy Guevara.
yeah, thank you. Sorry, I don't know where I got Hernandez from. Um, um I've been
That's
watching
racist.
I
Just kidding. Everybody was thinking it. I just said it. Just
it's fine.
teasing.
It's fine. I'll take it. I'll fall on that sword. Um But yeah, but seeing him, I feel like he's gonna blow up. It's like I just feel it. He has that charisma, he has that look about him. I just for me just need to get to know him more. And but he's one that I'm also looking forward to seeing more of. And like I said before, Awesome Kong, like she's been around for a while, she's a veteran now, but I feel like she still doesn't really get her due, so to speak. Because she has such a short stint in WWE and TNA, she did fine, but they also dropped the ball with her as well. So I'm really also excited to see how they can utilize her now that she's gotten a lot more fame with Glow, um, being on Netflix, and I think she's coming back for the next possible final season. So I really do think that wrestling as general is in really good hands. Because like I said, with all the variety of what we got out there, us as a fan, we get to expand our own horizons to try see things from not only different regions of the U.S., regions of the world, and different cultures and how they interact with wrestling. Because even of New Japan, that wrestling style is not the same as WWE or AEW or even Ring of Honor, even though they do co-collab a lot. It's still different wrestling styles, a different cultures, a different atmospheres, a different um, announcing style that they're gonna do. So I really do love that the fan exposure globally, of course, with the internet, we get to all share in this space. Even even though with every single fandom, there's gonna be toxicity in there, but I always try to stream on the positive to take um what I love so I don't get this burnout like I did maybe like a year or two ago with WWE. But I think it's just coming face to face with real remembering what it is that brought you to the game, so to speak, and trying to find positive light with that. And Cal, I see you want to say something.
Oh yeah. So in the chat, entertains us that he wondered if Raw and Nitro on different nights would have made a difference, and they both would have grown. And he's starting to feel the same about Raw with NXT and AEW as well. Um, and to the point about Sammy Guevara before too. Yeah, he is like a superstar in the making. I see the problem is I see this like you. I think it was Nicole was saying it earlier how the rehash storylines and stuff like that has been becoming kind of banal and like commonplace and all that. I could see that as the whole evolution thing in a way where you have Triple H and being Jericho now, and Sammy Guevara being Randy Orton, the hot and coming up and coming guy, and you have Jack Hager, who is Jack Swagger WWE is like Batista kind of thing, and all they need is like one older mouthpiece, I guess. That kind of thing, I feel it's very similar. And I was gonna ask you, ladies, who do you think is the first person that to beat Jericho, who will become the second AEW champion? It might be Sammy Guevara, but the same way that Randy Orton kind of won and beat Triple H. I don't know, like I don't know who else could be. I think like Hangman Page and all them got their chance, and Cody of course got his chance, and maybe Darby Allin eventually. But really, I think it might be Sammy Guevara pulling a Randy Orton kind of thing.
I wouldn't really put it past them, um, but like I said, I think they do try to be different and maybe try to undercut your expectations. So maybe it might be something that is not even on our radar at this moment. Probably not. Well, I guess if it was Moxley, it might be more of the same old. But I don't know. It. I would like it to be Sammy because I just like him as his persona, or even it would be cool to see Darby because he's just such um a different style than Jericho at the moment. And I'm actually just really impressed that Jericho can still go. And at his age, it's not well, not because of his age, but because his body has so much mileage on it from doing it from such a long time. Um, I wonder like how man, him and Rey Mysterio, man, they're still killing it. But yeah, I could see Sammy, I could see maybe Darby, or maybe like someone unknown off our radar at the moment. Because I haven't seen the last two episodes of AEW. That's what I'm gonna do over this like Christmas break, so to speak, just catch up on everything that I missed. Um, yeah. What about you, Nick? Can you hear me?
Sorry, like I heard a and then I was
Oh,
like, everything froze, and I was like, oh no,
oh, okay.
do I have to turn my stuff off again? Okay, sorry. That's why I was like, what did you say last? Because all I heard was
Oh, I was just saying, who going off of Kyle's question, like who did you think could be another contender for Jericho, or who do you think could be the sort of Randy Orton in this scenario if they were to go that route? Like, do you think it'll be Sammy, or could it be Jack Hager to turn on the boss, so to speak, to go after that gold? Or like I said, could they undercut it and be like, you know what, I'm just gonna give you a shot because you deserve it? I don't know. I don't know.
yeah. I honestly am not sure. I in I'm not good at predictions and stuff like that. I'm really poor at this. Like even with the WWE, and I know that sounds really ridiculous because again, I've been watching so long that you would think I would be good at that because like it repeats itself. But when I'm watching something, I'm not like, ooh, like where's this going? I just want to like be entertained. So that holds me back from doing any kind of predictions. I'm the worst. So I don't know.
Not,
I have
not,
no idea.
now that I think of it, it's probably gonna be Dean Ambrose.
John Moxley, excuse you.
I will never call him that. He's Dean Ambrose.
The Mox. I will have you know that I bought my first AEW shirt, and it is a John Moxley shirt because, of course, it.
Nice.
I know. I just placed the
So
order earlier today.
to sort of like round off going off for this podcast, and I want to pose this question to the chat as well. Coming into 2020, because hashtag goals, what is it that you would like to see, whether it be from your promotion of choice, as in specifically with AEW, WWE, ROH, and New Japan? Is there anything specifically you would like to see them execute in 2020, or you can go more generalized and see where would you like wrestling as a whole to go in 2020 as we come into the next year?
Are you asking us or the chat?
Both, both of you,
Both. Oh, I see.
all of you.
All of the above. You know what? For me, I'm not entirely sure what I'm looking forward to in 2020. I mean, obviously, I've already kind of talked about what I would like to see AEW do as far as expanding their women's division, but I also get that I mean, the WWE was there once upon a time too, and it just so happens that we are in an era of wrestling where they can expand the women's division. So I know I need to be patient with that, but I mean, like the first few episodes of AEW, the women's matches were really, really rough to get through. Like they were only about 10 minutes long, but they really weren't that great either. And I don't know if it was scripting, I don't know what it was, but even I found myself playing on my phone instead of watching the match, and I was like, shame on me because this is what I came here for. Like, you know what I mean? So I think in 2020 I would like to see AEW expand their women's division, and I mean like the matches have progressively gotten better, but I don't know if I don't know what the problem is because I don't know what goes on behind the scenes. I don't know how much of it is scripted and how much of it is not when it comes to actually being in the ring for AEW. So I mean, I would like to see that. I don't really care about storylines anymore. I kind of just I'm here for the wrestling at this point, and that's fine with me. I don't care to know anything about any of the characters. I'm just gonna like them based on their wrestling. That's what I've decided recently. It's just being like, this works for me. I like this guy. He's a high flyer. He's really fast. He does flippy things in the air. I'm in. Like, count me in. This guy has a really badass theme song. Count me in. Like, this guy looks ridiculous. He looks like he just stepped up out of Power Rangers. I'm in. Like, I don't know. I think that's, one of the many things that I'm liking about some of these other branches is they're being really ridiculous with stuff. And I'm like, I have missed this about the 90s WWE. You know what I mean? Like, embrace it. It's ridiculous. Just embrace it. And that's one of the beauties of wrestling is I'm just like, hey, there are actual villains and actual superheroes. And what other show gives you that unless you're watching a Marvel movie? And I mean, that's what I want to see in 2020. I just want to watch wrestling. I want to love wrestling again.
I mean, for me, I feel like I just want them to let them be them and not have to take credit for everything. In my opinion, I've been saying this forever, but I feel like it's a huge thing. Like, it's just why they gotta take credit for everyone else's hard work. I know they're giving them the opportunities, but they've earned those opportunities. No need to steal their thunder, because you already stole thunder from WCW. Thursday Night Thunder no longer there because WWE sold that. But no, what do I expect to see? Like I said, the whole AEW aspect, like how they can grow, how I feel they should grow, and what's going to happen with the championship picture. See that. To me, right now, the most interesting division is the tag team division because I love the Young Bucks and I especially love the Lucha Brothers. I think they're called. Yeah, Lucha Brothers. I love them, and then seeing Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus and all that kind of stuff. That's great to watch as well. I just really do enjoy the tag team division. Not to mention Private Party and SCU and all those guys. It's just great to watch the tag team division, which I always talk about being the roller coaster in WWE. So as for WWE, continue with the Fiend, but don't ruin it. That's probably going to eventually happen, like we said. Let the women keep rolling and how they're rolling. Just don't be like, oh, now it's the first ever this kind of match, first ever that kind. Just let them do them. They've been doing a great job. Let them keep it up. And now my favorite pay-per-view is probably coming up, which is Royal Rumble. And who's going to win, we don't know. For men, I think it's completely out there. Because I don't even know, will they fight Brock Lesnar? If Braun Strowman wins finally, is he going to fight Brock Lesnar and beat him? Probably. That's kind of make for a lackluster pay-per-view kind of thing as well. But for what I see, here's my prediction. It's a bold prediction coming for... And I said this. I don't want to hear the WWE say this, but it's going to happen. Watch. It's going to be the first ever NXT superstar to win the Royal Rumble. And it's going to be Shayna Baszler, I think. So, I'm not saying call-ups. How Shinsuke and Asuka both won, they were from NXT, but they were called up already to the main roster. I'm saying with Shayna Baszler still in NXT at the moment, right? She's going to end up winning the Royal Rumble, and that's what is going to be her call-up to face either Becky Lynch or whoever I don't know who the champions are right now, or Bayley, I think it is, right? Bayley. And I think so I think she was feuding with Bayley a little bit during this NXT thing. So it might be ending up her winning the Rumble and facing Bayley kind of thing. So that's what I kind of predict is going to happen. And I know Entertained
I'd like to see that.
So that's what I think might happen, but we'll see. Entertained in the chat says, I always wondered... Oh, no, he says, I feel like they need to feature the Bucks and Kenny as champions and the more heelish selves. They got big by being not nice guys. So he's talking back, I guess, from New Japan and all that kind of stuff, who they were prior to what they are in AEW now. I think, but the thing is, the mission statement of AEW is to give people chances, right? So the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega kind of already have their platforms, right? They're known. I didn't know much about those indie guys, but I always heard those people's names, Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. But people like Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara, all these other guys who are coming up, and ladies as well, which we don't really talk about, but Britt Baker, and stuff like that, Nyla Rose, these people who we don't really hear about, I think they want to start elevating those under, kind of like what the NXT is doing with the lesser known people. They're elevating them now, which I think AEW is going to start doing earlier. Because now, WWE didn't really do it until they had NXT. But AEW has no NXT Development League. They're going to do that in their own brand. They don't need to worry about people like Cody. I'm glad Cody's kind of get back seat role, kind of like, okay, he was in a one main event kind of thing, or maybe two main events, but he's not like taking the title and holding on to it, kind of like a Triple H would do, kind of thing. So it's cool to see that. So that's what I'll give them props for.
Yeah, I think for me, there's two kind of like main things I would like to see across the board. Kind of go with you were saying along with WWE's, like you don't have to push it in our face of what's going on. So I would love a more show don't tell. Let it be. For I know there's some things you do have to explain because not everybody can like decipher what's going on, especially if you're new. But I don't need to be beaten over the head with first ever this or um it's boss time. I don't know. I would really like for whatever story you're telling, trust your audience to know what's going on. And unless like it's the beginning of some sort of feud that you're doing, of course you kind of want to explain a little bit what's going on. Or if we're at a pay-per-view and you want to tell the backstory of how we got to this point. But I would love a lot more show don't tell. And I would really like to see more shuffling around of our mainstays. It seems I'm tired. I don't want it to be always the same for people going for a title shot. Um, I love Becky. I love Charlotte. I don't need to see them fight for the 20,000th time for the belt. It. I really want to see some more. I guess diversity in all aspects of on all shows to see like let's maybe take a chance on someone who we don't really know. I mean, we see her sparingly, but like just for uh argument's sake, Dana Brooke. While she's had her spurts of being relevant, I don't think we ever giving her a legit storyline. And when she comes back from her hiatus, I would love to see Naomi get a legit shot in kind of like this newer esque, grittier era. I would love to see. I would love to learn more about like Castle. I would love to learn more about Britt Baker. Um, I would love to learn more about the international talent they're developing over at AEW. So I just want to see a more shuffling of the baton, so to speak. I feel like we only get that in like tiny, tiny spurts. So I would love to see that more prevalent too. Like, oh, I don't know, this was the matchup that I would really like to see, but now I'm intrigued. So I would really like to see a little bit of that going on.
No, I totally agree. I mean, as much of a Becky fan as I am, because I love Becky. I mean, I have her goggles right here. Like they sit on my TV. I love her. But you're right. I love Charlotte. I think she's amazing. But I'm really tired of watching the same people fight over and over and over again. And it's like, listen, I get it. They're great. They sell things. But like, please, can we just have some other people in the
Yeah,
ring? In the ring.
they
Other
might
people, please.
they might also be able to sell merch if they're on TV.
Right.
So
Right. Exactly.
but yeah, so I think all in all, I do feel like I feel like we're not. I don't think we're as. I don't want to say bitter is the wrong word, because I do remember maybe a year ago where there was just a period of time we were all just like, "Gosh, this is a chore to get through." Um,
For sure.
yeah. So I'm really glad that we all have like different ways of being able to still enjoy the wrestling that we've loved for so long, and well, I know wrestling's been around for like hundreds of years, but for our generation, it's
Right.
for the, for the past, 20, 30 years, it's been an up and hill battle. I'll- I know in our minds a lot of downs recently in the last maybe 5 to 8 years. But I feel like we're kind of like on another upswing, and I'm pretty excited about that for 2020 and going further. So I'm hoping that all these promotions can keep that momentum going forward, and that maybe at the end of next year, we're like, oh man, 2020 was the year of wrestling. So, on that note, I do want to thank you guys in the chat who did stick around for us, even though we were having those issues. Entertaining 45, Willow Firefox. That's a tongue twister, Willow. Can I just call you Willow? Are you fine with that? Let me know. Let me know in the chat.
Yeah, thank you so much. I apologize. I got into our thing way before. I had so many problems. Eventually, I had to switch computers. I had to switch headsets. Anyways, we got it working, but thank you so much for your patience. I'm sorry, it was my bad. It was 100% all me,
Oh
not
no,
Cal and Delisha.
it's it's fine, and it's I know it's like it's a Monday before Christmas. Everyone's probably out at the malls, probably getting those last minute trinkets going on. So I
You better
do really
not be.
appreciate.
You
I
better be
do
here
really.
watching us, damn it.
I was gonna say I really appreciate you guys took the time out to put us on your phone.
They don't have us playing in the mall.
That's what? That would be cool.
That actually would be fun. Put us on your Titan Trine of the Mall variety, and let's all talk about wrestling at one time. Let's not fight over gifts. Let's just talk about the gift that is wrestling.
That
And
is
with
wrestling. The
so with
gift that
that,
keeps giving and takes away.
or
Sorry.
set up a table, put some gifts on there, and have yourself a table match right there in the middle of the hall.
Oh, now you're talking.
I'm sure our truth is out there somewhere. Go after that 24/7 title. Oh man, I think I just gave them an idea. Never mind. Someone copyright that, and so I can give them writing credit on a fan winning the 24/7 title out of nowhere. But guys, again, thank you for joining us on this fourth and final edition of 2019 of AfterTalk. We have really been enjoying talking more in depth of wrestling with you guys, and I can't wait to see what 2020 will bring. We're gonna be We might be working on some things for our next installment, so stay tuned to on our Twitters for that. But Nikki, I want to tell them where they can find you.
Oh, I guess. I guess I can. So you guys can actually find me at Rapsty0607 on all social media. That's Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, YouTube. I am actually Rapsty's vlog where I talk about hair stuff and life lessons. What else do I do? Oh, you know what? I actually just launched a podcast with one of my friends. You can find us. What are we called? What are we called? We're called Shady Things Pod. That's it. Shady Things Pod. It's not spelled like weird. It's Shady Things. And we talk about shady things. We talk about unethical science and dark history. And we just released our first episode. It was on December 1st, and it was over the Tower of London. We're doing an episode that will release January 1st over lobotomies. So, yeah, come join us if you want to just listen to my soothing speaking voice via podcast. You can find us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play. We're on all of those. So that's where you can find me. And of course, you can find me on the Kingslayer Network talking wrestling right here on After Talk. You could also, find Cal playing video games all the damn time. He just loves to entertain me, is really what it is. And that's it. That's where you can find me. Come hang out.
Great. And Kyle, where can I find you?
One more thing, actually, I always have my
Oh
best
yeah,
idea.
sorry.
I have my best ideas in the bathroom, and I just ran to the bathroom during your last talk, and I don't know if either of you said this, but I just watched Backstage last week, and my girl Alexa Bliss was on it, so I had to actually watch it fully. And Ember Moon, who you both ladies love, was on it as well, and she said, "Why not bring back another Women's Evolution?" Because Nicole mentioned at the beginning of the show, 14 women on Raw, 14 women on SmackDown. Maybe we only see 4 of them total on pay-per-view. Why not have them showcase another pay-per-view in February again for the Women's Evolution? I think it was in February, maybe it's October. Who knows?
No, it was definitely in November.
Okay, so whatever it was, they should do it again and have the women, do it, the whole pay-per-view for them. And that's how this show After Talk was incepted, I believe, because they wanted to cover the Women's Evolution. And why not do it again? Because it started a fantastic show. You ladies have done a great job through this whole season, and I hope you guys continue through a season 2. I love being a guest on it. Thank you guys for always having me. It's been so fun, and I mean, like, just keep celebrating it. Don't have to shove it in their face, but just celebrate it because they earned it and they deserve it.
We legit don't have a show without Cal.
But yeah, you can find me here on the Kingslaying Network playing games Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern. And then usually the games are preempted when we have After Talk or AfterMat on Monday evenings at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Thank you, ladies, once again for having me.
And I'm Delisha. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Delisha_Renee. If you know our fact checker Joe, I'm doing a new contest So stay tuned for next year because none of you guys are doing what I'm asking you. No, I'm just kidding. That's a different show. If you watch AfterMat, you know what I'm talking about. But we again thank you guys for joining us for our State of the Wrestling Union address, and we wish you guys a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and we will see you in 2020, where we will be recapping next AfterMat of the Royal Rumble coming up on the 27th. So stay tuned to all the Twitters and all the things to learn what we're going to be doing next. And you guys, I don't think we have a slogan for the end of this after talk yet, but 2020, working on it. Bye, guys.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. On we'll go, finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest, echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on